Hello and welcome to my video. In this video I'm going to show you kind of like how you can complete your first 5 floor. Now there are going to be still variations that you will see in here. You might see like a little bit of different floor types that aren't in this video, but hopefully this will at least give you a general idea kind of what you can expect, and especially if you're like trying to do this for the first, if you're trying to do it solo for the first time, this will hopefully help out. So start with the first floor here. Okay, this first floor is always going to be capture the ghosts. Now we spawn in. This is what we call a normal room. This is a room that could potentially have ghosts in it. You see, if you look here, you can see how this is actually a decently sized room. When we spawn in a room like that, we're going to always have a floor switch. Now this is still a normal room. You can see that there's the noob here. Now of course you wouldn't be running around like this that I am, but just to show you here. Now, here, there's this here. Now, this right here is a switch. Basically, everyone has to get their both Luigi and Luigi to open this. This normal room. Now, this thing right here is not a normal room. This is too small. You're not going to have ghosts in here ever. So, if you actually look at the size here, I know it's kind of hard to see the map, but if you imagine the size of that square, of that restroom I just came out of, and now if you compare it to the bathroom, you'll actually notice that the bathroom is essentially two of those stacked on top of each other. Now, it's important to know because these little itty bitty 1x1 rooms are never going to have ghosts in them. So, you don't need to check all these little itty bitty rooms for ghosts on any floor type ever. Now, regarding the floor that I'm on specifically, this is what we would call standard, or ghost in every room. So basically, aside from the room that we spawn in, every normal room is going to have ghosts in it. Unless it has a key. So if you'll notice that room on the bottom left, we spawned there, but there's no ghost there because a room that's a player spawn point cannot also have ghosts. Those are mutually exclusive things. Now here, we go back out in the hallway here. There's one thing here. You want to look at the door here. The door for the switch is very distinct from other types of doors. You can see how it has this like gray coloring. That's important so that way you can identify it quickly. Unless you're in a toad floor, in which case it uses the same aesthetic, but you're never going to have a switch anyway, since the floor switches are exclusive to capture the ghost missions. And you'll see this one over here with this pattern here. This is the one that you have to open you press on here to open this. Let me clean up these users here. I'll have this as like an unedited video, so that way you can kind of see everything that's going on here. Also, I guess another thing here. You see this here? These things are balconies here. If you actually notice, you see these windows here? If you go over here, that tells you that this is gonna be a balcony here, so you don't need to check there. And of course, you don't have ghosts on the balconies as well. Now, if you actually notice right here, you'll see these lights here, but there's not like a visible... It looks kind of suspicious. This is what we call a hidden room right here. Now, in DLC, there are variants that have ghosts, but if you're not playing a DLC floor like I am, if you're playing non-DLC like I am here, this will always be a treasure room. And that gives you, like, guaranteed, like, the power-ups there are, like, they're completely predetermined. Even the locations they spawn in, it's predetermined unless some shenanigans happen, but ignore that for, you know, but you don't need to worry about that shenanigans for the, like, in your first, like, 5F here. And also another important thing is that, especially if you're solo, you're gonna have a much easier time getting timers. There is no shame in needing to take more than 5 minutes to complete floor, especially if you're new to ScareScraper. You should not feel bad if you have to take more than 5 minutes to clear a floor. That's something I really want to make important here. Some floors are going to be you're going to have either, like, really layouts that are, like, really not quick to clear, or might even stuff like this where you have, like, multiple hammers, like 3 hammers here, which I know for a lot of people that 3 hammers in one room can definitely a struggle. So, and you're not going to always have a hidden room at the beginning to help deal with it. Now, I guess regarding power-ups here. So, when you're looking for power-ups, there's going to be a very limited object. I'm just saying, at least for non-DLC. So we'll just assume this is all non-DLC. A lot of DLC objects will have, like, random objects with certain power-up percentages. So, chests, for instance, can contain power-ups. These longer bushes can contain power-ups. Although the game does decide ahead of time if they're a power-up location. Because even though it's an item that could potentially have a power-up, it's not going to give it to you if it's not a power-up location. Now, safes will also give you power-ups. You're not going to know if it's a power-up location or not until you actually interact with it and you see a power-up come out or not. Alright, so now I guess we spawned in a little restroom here. So now we know we're not gonna have a switch. And if you notice, the amount is actually 3 digits here. We're actually gonna have minis here. Now, if you actually look very closely at this door shape here, see, it's kind of like this door shape, sort of like right here. This is actually another hidden room. You know, one thing that really will help you out is going to the hallway early on, because that way it kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at here. It makes it easier to kind of, like, plan how you're going to handle everything. Now, because I'm solo here. And of course we have a locked door, and when it's like this, you're gonna need it. Generally, you want to assume that a locked door is necessary, unless you have some sort of evidence otherwise. Like, for instance, if this was, say, like an empty floor, it showed that there were no ghosts there or something like that. Now, this small bush right here is what I'm saying. You don't want to bother checking for power-ups. You're never getting power-ups from this thing ever. Now, if it's 60, so essentially, how to tell if it's minis versus regular ghosts. So, regular ghosts can go up to 68. However, minis can go above that. Minis will also always be exclusively like a multiple 5, so you're never gonna see like 62 minis ever. So pretty much any number except for 65 itself. Any number that is less than 69 excluding 65, is going to be regular ghosts. 65 is still minis, but any other number will be regular ghosts. You will have either mini goobs or mini hammers. You'll usually expect to have at least one room of mini hammers or mini goobs, at least one room. Well, this right here is the thing you gotta be careful of. Locked doors can be very time consuming to get, especially if you're doing this by yourself. That's just how it is, how it can be. Now, I think to note also, the less time you have, the more likely you're a good timer. So that's also something important to note. So now I'm looking here. Okay, we have, I should use a little bit of math here. So we have things that the amount of minis you have in a room is actually not random. So we actually have 15 in that room, and then we're gonna have another 15 there. But notice how that adds up to 110. But then we have the bathroom here, which we have 10. But then if the key's not in the bathroom, then we have 120 minis. And we don't have 120 minis, we have 110. So you can actually tell here that the key is going to be in here. Now, a lot of these rooms are going to have like certain spots you can always check for the key. So for instance, the little washrooms in the bathroom here are going to always have the key in the toilet. Always. You don't need to bother checking the sink or the bathtub. Now, DLC, the objects that they can be in can potentially be expanded, but for the sake of like non-DLCs, how I recommend you, if you're gonna try to beat ScareScraper solo for the first time, I recommend not playing all DLC. Because the problem that, especially the 200 HP goobs, are gonna make things take much longer. Now I'm gonna want to go over here. You could check like these objects for timers though. That'll be enough. Yeah, no, that's gonna be enough for the last room. And I guess one other little thing to note here. You'll notice that there's not a doormat right here on the side that you enter and the hidden room door accessed. So that's just another thing to note. That's floor 2 done. That's minis. That's what we call a special mission. So essentially, I guess from like floors 2 to 4, 6 to 9, those, you can have up to 2 of them. In a single year. Now, because this is a 5 floor, I can only have one more special mission. One more is the maximum I can have. I'm not guaranteed to have one, but that's the most I can have. So again, here we spawn in a normal room here. So we're gonna have a switch somewhere. It's hard to say just at this point here. An important thing to note is that when you burst Boozer out, it's gonna have a bit of time before it can like move again. It's gonna be stunned for a bit, so if you don't interact with it, it won't be able to move until after a certain period of time. So you can use that, so if you need to do something else, like there, I slammed the other Boozer. Here, I can move here. slam, and then let go select button. You know, so only when they raise their shoulders, that's when they go up. So now if you look here, you see this like small square, and then there's an area up there. This is going to be the switch here. Because the thing is that if you're looking for the switch, you have to make sure there's actually room for there to be at least another room to be unlocked by it. So it can't just be like a little tiny room either. So in this case, because of the bathroom, there's 2 rooms. After I defeat these goobs here. And defeat these slinkers. Grab the timers. If you have timers, you want to always grab them, especially in solo. Because you'll never know when that's gonna save you. Even if you have like 2 minutes, like even 3 minutes, it's still good idea to grab them. Now this right here is something where you have to be mindful of. So you see kind of like this large area. Here, this is actually really large. So the thing here is you actually want to be kind of mindful when you have things like that. You do kind of want to investigate them early on, especially if, say, the restroom is not here. Yeah. So right here, you see there's no restroom going there. Restrooms, so these I guess the difference between these non-normal rooms. So breakers are like these little 1x1s, but you always enter them. You always go from hallway into them directly. Restrooms, on the other hand, you have to go into another room to get into them. And the fact that we don't have one there means we can't have a hidden room there, because the problem is that you can't have this weird one tiny gap there. There has to actually be room taking it up. Meaning if this is too large, yeah, this is gonna be a guaranteed locked door situation here. That's how I'm able to eliminate hidden room possibility right then and there. Noticing how there's not a restroom there on the left is like a dead giveaway. Now, just because there is restroom there, that doesn't eliminate the possibility of a hidden room, but seeing it not being there eliminates the possibility of it being a hidden room, though. Now, when you're on your map here, it's also important to note how your viewing works here. So, when you have an area that is explored by you, you will have like a border around it. Now, I can't really show you this here at this point here, but when you have it where someone else explored it, but not you, it'll have a border as well, but it'll be more faded. And then if it was not explored at all, there will be no border. Nice, we'll just take TV here. They try to spawn opposite corners of each other, but they can't be beyond the switch. And what I mean by beyond the switch here is that if you remember, there's that door that has to get unlocked by having Luigi on the pad, on like the pressure plate. Those rooms there are what I mean by beyond the switch. Like you have to go through the switch to get to those rooms. Switch and locked door act like funnels, where the only entrance is the exit. And TVs can't go in there. Now here it's actually important that I'm moving backwards, because when you're sucking, you have like your sucking is sort of like a cone. Those that are that ends up moving their tails together, which allows you to grab more of them all at once. So floor 3 here. There's floor 4, I mean. Alright. So we're gonna have another... Alright, another, like, standard here. And a locked door. That's, of course, always nice. Okay, so now in here, gonna be one of these pockets here. Second to last one, as usual. And note, while I am double slamming slingers a lot, you don't have to double slam them. Especially if there's multiple. Ideally, what you'll want to do is you'll want to have like one of them jump on. You can use Luigi or Luigi's bait. Basically, have them jump on, flash them, and then rinse and repeat. And you can get up to 3 slingers tethered at once by doing that. If you remember also what I said about TVs, that's why the TVs are like such cramped on this floor, is because there just wasn't much room that was not beyond the locked door or the floor switch. That's why the TVs are like that. The TVs also cannot be in the room that you spawn in. Now here, I know 3 rooms here. What's up there is just a hallway. There's not going to be anything significant up there. I know this because if you actually look here, you see how there's like that little area here, and then there's the hallway? When hallways are not flat, when they're not like the bottom is straight, you're going to have a little restroom below them. If I actually go back up here, I can show you here. So I go up here. You actually see here, this is a hallway here. And then inside here, we have a little restroom here. Now, we haven't had our packs taken or blackout happen. I don't know if we're going to have that on this floor. My suspicions tells me that we're not, because, I mean, we've taken quite a while on this floor, and it would have probably happened by now if it hasn't happened, if it was gonna happen. Yeah, pretty much too late at this point. Now this right here is what's known as Celebration Skip. Instead of having Luigi celebrate, you can hold out the plunger. That way he doesn't celebrate. I think it's right here. See if that is what's known as this trash bin. If you look at the legs compared to this one, you see how it's a lot sharper? It looks almost more lifelike. You also notice here Luigi's sort of like crouched down, scared. And gets a certain distance to it. You just go ahead and slam this down, and there you go. An important thing to also remember is when you're flashing without charging the hyperstrobel, assuming nothing interacts with them, they will be still for a whole 5 seconds. That's an important number to remember, as it allows you to tell if you're going to be able to do something or not. There we go. Now, last floor we're gonna have is Colossus here. Colossus is primarily RNG, but it is basically RNG, but it's very constrained RNG. Alright, so here he's doing jumping here, which is just bouncing on the ground here. Now, important thing to remember is your HP. If you're in solos, it's especially important to know, you effectively have like 500 HP. The way I say that is because you have the boost statues. Each of them are single use and will drop 5 hearts. Each heart is 20. And well, I guess it's technically 499, but you know, besides the point. And you can, and it's also very important to remember, you cannot heal above 99. Now, if you're doing this with only 1 or 2 players, you do want to grab them up front. This because you want to make sure you get these big blue bombs. If you're not comfortable with that for whatever reason, you can grab them further down. Now, ideally, you want to try at least get 3 per cycle. I know you can get much more than that, but, you know, for your first ever Colossus, doing it solo couldn't be too harsh on yourself. So there, I got 5. Yeah, I got 5. Now, you don't need to memorize his patterns, but I have them memorized. I know if I go here, in this case, if you look at the order that he dives in, there's 4 patterns, and you could tell which pattern he's going to do by which corner he dives into. Probably like a separate thing with that for that. Now, arrows. You have mainly 2 options if you're doing solo. However, if you're doing multiplayer, you don't want to do the second one. So you either want to be like blowing and sucking the arrows away, or you can run away from them. The reason why you do not want to do this in multiplayer is realistically an arrow that you dodge is gonna hit someone else. Now, regarding the bombs, you do want to prioritize the blue ones over the smaller ones. That's very important, as that's going to give you much more stun time. Now, the reason for the bursting here is that what this is doing, it's resetting their escape timer to like a little under 5.5 seconds after that animation finishes. So if they're about to escape, you can burst to buy yourself a little bit of time. Although you do want to be mindful about how much stun time you have. So each small bomb, with the exception of the first, is going to be 1 second. The first small bomb is going to be 2 seconds. and eat any big blue bomb is going to be 7 seconds. So here I can demonstrate this here with blue here. So we just shoot the big one in here. If you look at the boos here, they'll leave in about 7 seconds, assuming I don't interact with them. 4, 5, 6, 7, about that. Now his sizes are depending on how many boos is left. If he has 12 or more boos, 12 to 16 boos, he's gonna be his largest size. If he has 7 to 11 boos, he's gonna be the medium size. If he has any less, then he'll be the small size that you see here. And if you're not sure about the pattern, you can always just follow behind him. That works well. Just don't run into him. He's only gonna he never turns unless it's like at the edges. So he's never gonna turn in the center. And that's part of why ideally you want to do it at the front to prevent that from happening. Yeah, there are other floor types that I didn't end up getting in this video. Probably even try to do a separate video on all of them, just so that way they're all covered. Just grab one of these big that'll be enough here. Now I guess one other thing to note is that if you slam, but you end up letting go, you'll be able to retether it. Like that, but if you say let go without slamming first, you will not be able to retether it. So that's just an important thing to note. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get many floor types here, but hopefully this does help. And thanks for watching here.